American politics, because this is why people refuse to vote. This is why people have unfortunately given up. But don't give up. Don't give up. We have a republic. And unfortunately, the ICS, let me bring them back on screen so you can see a full mass. And if you're wondering if I'm talking about, the ICS is the inner circle of Satan. That's what I've coined this phrase. It's the inner circle of Satan. And here's 3 of them. Because what they are doing to California is truly demonic. It is. You know, she's claiming homelessness is down 18% because people were deported and they unfortunately passed away. That's it. You lost people by default, not because any of those individuals were actually removed from the streets, put into an apartment, and actually moving on with their lives to live their lives through. What programs do you actually have that do that? You don't. You've got programs giving people needles and giving people fentanyl and giving people other kinds of drugs to keep them homeless, because if you eradicate homelessness, what jobs do you have from that? What you do is you actually have aftercare jobs. That means making sure that these individuals that you've gotten off the streets stay off the streets. They don't go back into homelessness. They don't go back into their drug addiction. They don't go back into the same pattern. But see, you haven't thought that through. That's why evil is what it does. And I even have a t-shirt that says evil isn't just dumb, it's stupid. Because it always shoots itself in the foot. Because it thinks that no one else is paying attention. We're paying attention. You have our attention. You have our full attention. I'm just saying. But yes, this is the ICS, the inner circle of Satan. So we're going to move on to our next topic. And that topic is pretty much looking at crypto and how it's going to affect us going forward.
Towards tokenization is necessary.
Big things are happening in crypto. The most powerful man in finance, Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, to launch tokenized money market funds on Ethereum.
It's ironic that we see 2 emerging countries leading the world in tokenization and digitization of their currency. That's Brazil and India. I think we need to move very rapidly to doing that.
This is Signal. Here are the top altcoins we know the institutions continue to accumulate. So BlackRock has filed paperwork to debut 2 tokenized money market funds on the Ethereum network, offering stablecoin holders a regulated, yield-bearing alternative to sitting idle in digital dollars. Meaning you can earn interest on your dollars, and they didn't choose Solana, they didn't choose Supra, they chose ETH. Money markets have near $8 trillion in funds in money markets. This is the world's largest asset manager, bringing one of the biggest products in traditional finance on chain. Back at the WEF, Larry Fink told us the direction. Today, BlackRock put Ethereum at the center of it.
All investments on a tokenized platform that you can move from a tokenized money market fund to equities and bonds and back and forth. We have one common blockchain.
So this runs on Ethereum, it's backed by US Treasuries, it's built for stablecoin holders, and it follows their first product, BlackRock's BUIDL's $2.5 billion growth. Like the video if you're getting value, like the video if you appreciate these updates, because next coin we are seeing adoption happen institutionally is XRP.
What about XRP in relation to Bitcoin and Ethereum?
As the crypto market consolidates, maybe dips lower, as money flows back to the quality before we again go higher, listen to the coins that Larry Fink's friends, the institutions, listen to the signal they're sharing.
What about XRP in relation to Bitcoin and Ethereum?
Well, it's got a use case, a very specific use case, and more in particular, the XRP ledger has a use case. So Ripple, the company, has as its 13 or 14-year mission, however long it's been, to move internationally value, okay, and primarily money. And so their chain, their XPRL chain, will be used for that.
And it's growing. The stablecoin supply on the XRP ledger has doubled to over $0.5 billion in the last 5 months. That's 100% plus growth, now $568 million, and climbing fast. for XRP. XRP got a huge tailwind. This was big for XRP when the Genius Act stablecoin bill passed.
The Genius Act comes along and it really opened the door. It was really effectively a permission slip for big institutions as well as the sell-side banks and others to lean into this space. Those sort of household names in the traditional finance space trust Ripple to be a partner.
And what does BlackRock, what do institutions actually care about in 2026 more than crypto?
These countries will rapidly develop robotics and AI.
They care about AI.
2026 is shaping up to be an historic year for IPOs, with a trio of AI titans weighing up plans.
And BitTensor, which is infrastructure for decentralized AI, just got a major update.
We're in the formative phase of what BitTensor is or what it could be. We're circa 2012, 2013 Bitcoin right now.
Tau and Square has been built. This is just better UI, UX. Discover products and services powered by the BitTensor network and open market for intelligence that anyone can contribute to and use. So just understand hundreds of early stage AI and robotics startups are building using subnets. Subnets are early stage companies building on BitTensor, and BitTensor is aiming to be the solution from the centralized entities controlling AI.
It's the ethos of crypto. It's permissionless, it's global, it's decentralized. You kind of eliminate the risks associated with having these large gatekeepers, these large tech companies who are, kind of deciding, what is the data that is being trained on or the output. You're essentially kind of letting the wisdom of crowds.
Sure.
And you're doing it in a way where it's accessible.
And right now, BitTensor is still in very early days. In fact, that's why I loved this website, because it makes it so clear on the innovations that are happening. Let me take you through some of these early stage AI investments that anybody can invest in. But first, I just love this explanation from Barry Silbert.
And I've been equating to BitTensor to the early days of the internet, where when you first access the internet, you weren't going to a website, you were going to America Online, you were going to CompuServe, you were going to Prodigy, and those companies were delivering to you kind of the information that was accessible via the internet. And so, when I was on Prodigy, it was like super cool to see the weather or to see stock prices. And then in like 1995, 96, Mosaic launched the browser. And all of a sudden people realized, oh, wow, like I don't need to go through Prodigy or America Online to access the internet. I can go directly to what ultimately became weather.com or became Yahoo Finance. And that was this Cambrian explosion of innovation that only was made possible by the opening up of the internet. And so I look at BitTensor in kind of through a similar lens, where today you've got ChatGPT and you've got Claude, you've had kind of these businesses that are building these entry points. But I would rather see there be 100 or thousands of competitors to those big companies, and BitTensor enables that.
So whether you're focused on those early AI startups that focus on compute, which we know is going to be very significant, models and agents, training, finance data, predictions, robotics, that's going to be another big one. They're all building on BitTensor. And you can see this is one of their blue chips. I own this subnet. I'm a believer. Shoots.
Yes. So I will have that link below, but I wanted to share that with you guys because, a lot of this turns into the data centers that we see, right? So whenever you see a boost in AI technology, just think, oh, this is why they're putting all these data centers. But still, in my opinion, the data centers do not serve a purpose outside of it becoming a utility, because it's not a money maker. It doesn't generate money. Now, it might generate money for the large platforms that are using it, like Google and Amazon, right, for example, or Meta. But it's not generating money for the American people. Because see, once those buildings are built, construction's done. Okay, what are the construction workers going to do? They're finished. They go home. Their job is done. And they're like, oh, well, we're going to need all of these people. No, you're not. You're going to eliminate those people because this is all AI. So it's supposed to be self-contained. Again, what happens with the humans that have to now support this mechanism so we can have all this AI. Yeah, it becomes a bigger question of why are we in such a rush to eliminate ourselves? Now, the next thing I wanted to look at, I'm going to play the full video of the recent bill that was passed. Now, this video actually kind of walks through, and you'll hear Lindsey Graham again. It's like a 2.5-minute video, but I wanted to set that up so we can really take a deep dive into this.
Mr. President.
Senator from South Carolina.
Almost 19 hours later, we're actually going to talk about the bill and what's in it. There's $69.5 billion that this amendment covers, $38.6 billion for ICE to train, equip, support ICE,